Jervay, it's good to see you. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Missing the football over here. We're still in restrictions, so I'm a
Okay.
bit annoyed. But other than that, we just deal with it. Where are you at the minute?
I'm actually in Bermuda right now because I had trouble trying to get back into Spain around January because they've upped their restrictions on. I should be back next weekend, so it should all be good.
Yeah. So, what? Yeah, we'll talk about Spain a bit later on. So you were at Buxwood. You were part of that famous team that went to the under-16s national ISFA final.
Yeah.
Um, And I mean, in fact, actually, if you go onto the ISFA website, your picture of you playing it's got you and Seguru in, it's still on their main page. So
Okay.
so you're still there, famously running after one of the Brookhouse boys.
Yeah, I mean, going to the final with that team was obviously something I'll never forget in Boxwood. Um, it wasn't just like a team on the pitch. Like everyone that was on my team that made it to the final was like very close friends of mine. So I felt more of a family than I did probably the year before. But when I went to the final, it was something I'll never forget playing at St. George's Park. I'm lucky we didn't get the win, but it was still a good experience.
Yeah. I mean, it was a very exciting time, actually. I mean, when you think about who was in that team, um, and the games that we played. I mean, I say this to some of the other guys that I've spoken to. The was it the quarterfinal prior where we went to that school that weekend and we played on the smallest pitch possible,
Mm.
and it was just like it was different. It was just a different year that year. I think for you guys, I think. It was like I say, it was just a shame we didn't quite get the result we wanted. Um, it wasn't quite the performance we would expect from you guys. Um, so how long? Because obviously you're not at Buxwood now. How long were you at Buxwood? How many years? I mean, a couple, I think, isn't it?
I was at Boxwood for 2 years. I came in Form 4 and then I
Hmm. Yeah. Um, so why did you come to Buxwood? Firstly, um, and what did you like about the place?
uh well, I first heard about Boxwood from a couple of friends that were already out in England. And when I went to UK, I was in Bermuda about when I was 13, so the year before I went to Buxwood. They told me about the school and I heard it from them. And then I just got interested from there. I went for a tour around the school and I came to Boxwood to basically improve my football and education. And as soon as I had the tour around the school, I was just very interested and wanted to jump in already the next year.
Hmm. What impressed you the most then? What was the final thing that pushed the decision for you?
I would just say like the opportunities and the coaching, like they had said, we got opportunities to watch games at Wembley Stadium, like the England national team, and then very experienced coaches and stuff like that that would give opportunities to boys that want to pursue professional football in England. And that's what basically attracted me to come to Boxwood.
Hmm. So in your time, I mean, obviously the final is probably one of the memories for you. I mean, was there any other standout memories from your time at Buxwood?
I guess generally just meeting people from different countries. I felt like before I didn't really know much about other cultures, and like it didn't even take me that long to learn about other cultures. I would say in between 2 and 3 months, I started learning a lot about other countries, making new friends and stuff like that. And I think it's improved me as a person.
Well, you obviously, like you say, you've mentioned meeting a lot of people. Who was uh, who was the one player in the time that you were there that you enjoyed playing alongside?
That's a difficult question, actually. I have a few, but uh, mainly I think I'd have to go with Park. I think earlier in Form 4, we really clicked. You know, he gave me some compliments. I gave him some compliments to his game. And from there, we had a pretty good connection on the pitch and we'd always communicate pretty well. So if it was one player, I'd have to say Park.
So, I mean, obviously, Parks actually also agreed to do an interview, so that'll be quite nice for me to tell him. I'm sure he'll appreciate that 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 there. Who was the one person when you were training that you found the most challenging to play against?
Mm. Uh, this might actually come to a shock, but I actually think it's Sebastian from yeah, Sebastian Fuentes, that's from Mexico. I think it's him. I think he was kind of underrated in boxing. Like he
Hmm.
defended like pretty well. And I felt like because we were also very close, he also wanted to get on my back in training and tease me, you know, whenever he got the ball and stuff. So I'd actually have to go with Sebastian.
One of the things many of the guys have mentioned is that that the academy and the school obviously is all in one, has a very family feel to it, which helps with their playing. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I would definitely say it had a family feel to the way we were playing, especially because most of the boys in my team were either in my boarding house or just over from Milne because I used to stay in Kipling. And you know, we had done basically everything together, or would always go to dinner together, always in the house and chat. And I think it just improved things on the pitch and just made things more easier when it comes to
Mm.
getting comfortable around your teammates.
How would you say your game developed whilst you were at Buxwood?
Um, in Boxwood, I saw my game develop around, I guess, the defensive area. I mean, my father always told me that I needed to be better defending. I didn't really understand what he meant. I guess as in like England, it improved my physicality, you know, trying to tackle and win the ball. And I felt like I needed to learn on that very quickly because my first game out in England, I knew it was physical, but I didn't know it was like a really, really physical game. And so I just had to get used to it. And I would say it improved my defensive area so I can become good at like attacking and defending.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so you obviously left Buxwood because you were given an offer and you were given an opportunity. Tell me a bit about the opportunity you were given.
Oh, so it was actually me and a few boys from Boxwood. ISFA gave me an opportunity to have a trial at Rayo Vallecano that I took in May of that second year at Boxwood. And it went pretty well from there. I had started training. I played a few friendly matches, but I couldn't play games at Rayo Vallecano due to like uh, registration issues and having to be like Spanish at 18 years old in order to play and stuff like that, or you need a type of European passport and stuff. So I didn't really play like league games, and I'm working up to that now. Just got my
Hmm.
professional license a few weeks ago, so I should be able to play league games when I get back.
Hmm. How have you found it? How have there been any big outstanding differences between your time at Buxwood and where you are now?
Yes, I mean, with styles of play, I feel like in Spain, they definitely focus more on being patient and possession and playing with the ball at your feet. But in England, you can get teams that have different styles of play. Like, for example, you can have one team that just wants to play a long ball over the top, and then you can have a possession team and then a counter-attacking team, something like that. But in Spain, a lot more teams play the same way, trying to build up the play and be patient. Not every team, but most teams.
Mm, mm. Um, so for you, what does how has things developed? How are you standing now with Rayo? Is it are you look do you I mean do you have a long term future there? Do you think or
I wouldn't necessarily say long term. I know I will be there definitely next year, but I never know what's gonna happen in the future. Um, I'm always open to new ideas, but for now, I'm enjoying my time at Rayo Vallecano, and yeah.
what's your hopes?
I just I just want to reach the top level and just play football really, no
Hmm.
matter where it is.
Are you? Am I right in saying that you're also one of the Bermudan internationals?
Yes,
How's that going?
it's going good. I mean, um, during the summer, I trained with the national team, the under 20s, and it's been going pretty well. The style of play here is that we like to press a lot. It's more an intense game than it is out in Spain. So even sometimes when I train with my club and then when I come train for the national team, I have to quickly change my style of play and like remember that like
Hmm.
both teams have different tactics and stuff like that. But I've not played a tournament or anything yet for Bermuda, just like friendly matches and stuff. But hopefully that comes sooner or later.
Hmm. Do you think that's because of the COVID situation that's had an
Yeah, the
effect?
COVID definitely delayed it, and like for youth tournaments, like in international football, it's not really. It doesn't happen as common as I would say like the senior men's team, but I think there's a tournament next year that we're
Okay,
working towards.
okay. So obviously, your main drive is to become a professional player, no matter what league that's in. Um, but let's just assume worst case scenario that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
What's your B plan?
Honestly, my B plan is that I would still love to work around football. Either I'd want to do coaching. I would love to do coaching. Also, I think I would make like content or football content, my own content, and maybe pundit as well. I'd like to do analyzing and stuff like that, like on Flow Sports and talk about Premier League, Italian, Syria, and etc.
Hmm. Oh, that's good. I mean, you know, as I say, it's been a little while, obviously, since we've been in the same in the same vicinity to chat to each other. But I always remember you as being quite a calming influence on the team, and you know, that's obviously something that you need as a coach. Um, you know, so obviously coaching, like you said, is one of your potential outcomes. Um, where would you like to do that? Would you like to start in Bermuda and work your way through, or?
Um, yeah, hmm. I think I would probably start in and around England, and if that starts to go well and stuff like that, I would probably try and coach within the national team because I care a lot about my country as well.
Mhm,
So I mean, I could do both, but like just would I just would see where it goes on from then, see if it improves, and then be
mhm.
open to new ideas.
Okay, cool. Um, so obviously, as you know, all of these videos, etc., are going on our social media stuff because we want to attract more, definitely, and we also want to have more people come and watch our players. You know, we have YouTube now, we have TikTok, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, and we use all of those. Obviously, if somebody who's not currently at the school is thinking about coming to England, uh, A, would you recommend Buxwood, and B, why?
Yeah, I would recommend Boxwood, of course, because um, Bermudans are always open to new cultures as well, learn about other countries and different people with new ideas. And most people in Bermuda do watch Premier League, so they'll be most interested in coming to England, whether that be Boxwood or another school.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would definitely recommend that.
Yeah. Why would you recommend Boxwood though?
I recommend Boxwood because of just the coaching overall. I feel like the coaching is very encouraging, and there are a lot of competitions that you can win with Boxwood. It just gives players a lot of opportunities. I believe there's players like Prince, JJ, if I'm correct or incorrect, that's been on trials and stuff like that. I've seen a lot of players that have been on trials, especially this year, and it seems to
Hmm.
be improving each year. So I would
Mm.
tell them to definitely go to the.
They I was talking to Junior Bello the
Mm,
other day, and obviously you were one of the players he mentioned. Um, is there anybody that maybe didn't go on your little group trial that you wish had, or you think would have achieved would have um, succeeded in if they'd come out?
I think Junior could have possibly went and succeeded, to be honest. I mean, I've talked to Junior before. I don't really think he's on the same path with all the other players with wanting to become professional as bad as us, but I feel like he could definitely become one if he wants to. I feel like he
Mm,
has the strength to be. He's tall, he's fast, and if he improves in other areas, then he can definitely be up there. Like I felt like he could have succeeded, to be fair.
yeah, he's one of the guys you don't know, but says that he's quite difficult because as a centre back because although he's not big and physical like most centre backs you usually face in England, he's extremely fast.
Yeah,
And he as you know, he's again another one who's a good leader.
yeah,
Because
he's really
obviously he
good.
was the captain of that final. Going back to that final, I was there, and I remember going up. It was a long travelling day, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it
But
was.
what most impressed you about um, A, St George's, and B, how the tournament, how the final was run?
It was run pretty well. I mean, playing in St. George's, you don't get that every day. That's where the England national team plays. It was a great opportunity, and during the game, it was good as well. I mean, you had both from Brookhouse and Buxwood, more from Brookhouse, but in the end, like as I said, the result just didn't go our way. It probably just wasn't our day. Sometimes that does happen in football. I felt like we could have definitely played better. Like I know Brookhouse is a good opposition, but on that day we weren't good as well, so we weren't helping ourselves. But sometimes those days happen, and yeah.
Casting your mind back, what was the general feeling amongst you and the others? I mean, how did you feel well prepared, or do you think nerves or something got the better of you?
Um, fairly speaking for myself, I feel like I was well prepared. I'm not really sure about the others. You know, playing on St. George's Park and then having people watch you, it could have affected our my teammates and made them nervous and stuff like that, especially from the other schools, fans making noise and stuff like that. But those things happen, and if it's a first time experience for them, like it's it's very easy for those things to happen, and probably like later on when they play football, they won't feel the same thing and they'll come back stronger.
Hmm. You I seem to remember you watched the recent under 15s final. That was live streamed. Did did that take you back to your final? Did send you back
Yeah.
thinking about it?
Yeah, it did. It sent me back thinking about it. But while I was watching the boys, I was mostly focused on their match and just hoping they'll come away with the win, which they did, and they dominated the game. So
Yeah,
they won fair and square.
yeah. I think I always look at it, and obviously I coached that team this year or the last year, whatever, however you want to count it. We um we obviously used you as an example on many occasions, as in your team getting to the final and showing what was possible. Um, obviously, it wasn't in the same type of venue. It was, the National Sports Centre, but it, I think, had the world been normal, we would have done similar things. So we would have gone up the night before. We would have trained and done some stuff just to get us acclimatized, so to speak. Um, I asked JJ because JJ's just recently got himself a trial at Millwall, so he's doing really well at the minute. And I asked him what it was like being part of that team. So I'm going to ask you the same thing. What was it like doing that tournament that year? I mean, there were other tournaments that we didn't do so well in, but for
Mhm.
some reason, in the independent schools one, you guys pulled everything together. I mean, what was it like?
Um, I feel like it could be a motivational thing as well. Maybe sometimes when you hear the words National Cup, you really want to do well. And off the pitch as well, off training, back in our boarding houses, we would always talk about, okay, we want the national cup, we want to win this year. Even through social media, we would text each other and say, okay, today's game day, we gotta be up for it. So I think all those things combined, like, just went out onto the pitch and it really made us perform well.
Hmm. Do you still? I mean, do you still talk to some of the guys?
Yeah, I talk to them all the time, to be honest. Like, we all
Yeah,
have a group chat and almost every day.
that's good. It's good. It's important. I think, as I say, even if you speak to professional players, the relationships you build with players, whether they go as high as you do or whatever, is always quite important. I think that's almost more important than the football you're playing, if that makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, how did you? I mean, you come from Bermuda. You came to England. I seem to remember a training session one year where it was snowy. How did you find that? Because obviously now you're back in a traditionally warm climate.
Yeah.
How have you found the changes? What was the biggest change going from Bermuda to us, or us back to Spain?
Bermuda, it was hot weather that I was used to for a long time because I had been living in Bermuda for like 12 to 13 years. And when I came to England, the weather, it was just so cold, like really, really cold. I just had to adjust to it. And also sometimes if it rained as well, you've got to adjust to, playing on a muddy surface and things like that. Obviously, I trained in Boxwood one time when it was snowing, and I found it quite difficult, but it was it was fun though. It was fun. And when I went back to Spain, it was similar to Bermuda, not as hot, but in Spain it also gets cold as well, but not as cold as in
Yeah,
England.
yeah, yeah. Um, so you also went on, if I remember correctly, you went on the Atalanta trip with us,
Yes.
and had and played obviously against the Atalanta Academy. How was that experience for you? Because obviously we do try to do a lot of trips. I don't know I can't remember what other trips you went on, but I remember you on the Atalanta one. I mean, how was that?
The Atalanta trip was like a really good experience. I'd never been to Italy before, and I thought the facilities around the Atalanta training ground was amazing. Like it was really good facilities. I think they play a similar style of football as they do in Spain. Other than that, Italian football, they focus a lot on defending. But overall, it was a good experience, going to the Atalanta's. I don't believe it was Atalanta Stadium. I can't remember. Was it the Atalanta
So
Stadium or
you did go to the
away?
Atalanta, so yeah, and you also did the academy set up as well, didn't you? Because they had the hotel and everything where the players stayed prior to the game, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a good experience, and I feel like that also made us more stronger as a family as well. Going on trips with each other and stuff like that only made our chemistry stronger, in my opinion.
What other trips did you go on? I can't remember. I know I think you
I
went
went
to a couple of the England games, didn't you?
Yeah, I watched England play Italy at Wembley and
Hmm.
England play Germany at Wembley as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Can't remember what else. What else? What other? Was there any other trips that I've not mentioned?
I went to Italy twice. I didn't go on the Spain one though.
No, you didn't. That's right. That's the one I wasn't sure of. Um, okay, good. So you obviously recommend Buxwood,
Yeah,
and if anybody wants to come, do it. Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Um, well, that's it really, Jervay.
Okay.
As I say, thank you for agreeing to do this. I mean, it's
Yeah, no
really
problem.
good to see you, and you look really well, my friend.
Thank you.
It's good. It's good to see you've still got the curly hair because some of the guys I've been speaking to recently have been changing their hairstyles like crazy.
Oh, okay. Oh,
But I wish you well, and it's always good to see former students do well, and I really hope you do well. As I say, from memory, you were always one of the nicest guys to have in a team, and always one that we enjoyed coaching. So
thank
you
you.
know, thanks for agreeing to this. I don't know what the time difference is between us and you. I mean, I'm now approaching just 4:30 in the afternoon. So
Now it's like 12:36.
Oh, okay, so it's not a massive thing. I've not made you get up
Yeah,
at
it's not-
stupid o'clock in the morning. Well, thank you again, my friend, and I hope we can meet up again sometime, and please do keep in touch.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Jervay.